Hello and welcome guys to another episode of Sylheti Mace Bhai. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a presentation on the Sylheti Nagari literature that I have managed to research and collate as evidence in order to demonstrate that the Sylheti language has been around for hundreds of years. Now, disclaimer, I am making it very clear that the following content is for educational and research purposes only, and in no way, form or shape do I claim to be credited for the work and or materials. I have only taken snippets of publications in order to show examples of literacy. I am merely raising awareness in order to help people research further. Credits and references can be found at the end of this presentation. Please feel free to cross-examine for your satisfaction for authenticity of materials. Now that's out of the way, I want to give you a heads up. If you are looking for entertainment, then this video is not for you. I will be going through the literacy to best describe the contents of the books which are associated with Sylheti language. So, although it may be boring to some, the video will be interesting for those who want to actually investigate into Sylheti language history. The video hopefully will also demonstrate the authenticity of Sylheti language. And finally, one more thing to note, you will have to excuse my pronunciations for some of the words. As you can imagine, it is difficult to clarify as there are very little resources for me to cross-reference against to ensure validity of speech and sounds. But nonetheless, I apologize in advance. So, without further ado, let's get started. Abdul Latif Laskar collection of texts in Sylhet Nagari script. The following collection comprises digital copies of 3 texts. The texts have been copied from original printed volumes. All 3 volumes are undated and written in Sylheti Nagari script. The texts are concerned with Islamic religious and spiritual themes. 2 copies of Halatun Nabi, a life of the Prophet, and songs expressing profound Sufi thought. Halatun Nabi is a popular text in the Muslim community of the Silchar region. According to the poet, the text in manuscript form was completed in 1262 Bengali era, 1853 Common Era. It narrates, in Pyre and Tripoti verse, the story of creation and writes in detail the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his ascension to heaven. It gives a vivid description of hell. The text reflects an expert handling of Islamic genealogical accounts. Significantly, the poet shows a concern for accuracy and refers to the Arabic and Persian texts on which he has based his narration. This popular text narrates the exploits of Hanifa, particularly at the Battle of Karbala. The text is fragmented, as you can see. Preserving and maintaining materials like paper in Bangladesh and India is often difficult due to weather conditions, which include humidity, floods, and so forth. Apart from that, there is the other fact of insects eating the paper. This text contains songs about Sufism and its development in the region of Kajidahar, Sonai. The author of the song is Sitalang Shah, who changed his name from Muhammad Salimullah after renouncing the world and become a fakir, basically a wanderer. It is believed that Sitalang Shah was born sometime between 1793 and 1799 and lived for more than 90 years. The original volume was handwritten and undated. Jamnama. Jam is a Persian word meaning battle or war, and the Jamnama is a story of wars and battles. The volume contains a narrative poem and Jari songs. The poem recounts the Battle of Karbala, which took place in Muharram 10 in the year 61 of the Islamic calendar, 680 CE, fought between the grandsons of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Surman Ali Khalifa Gan. Surman Ali Khalifa wrote down and copied a number of songs into this volume. It was given to Amirul Islam Laskar, who considered Surman Ali to be his Dharmaguru, or spiritual guide. The following collection comprises digital copies of 10 texts. The texts have been copied from photocopies of original volumes. Puthi Daful Hujat. The title of this volume means the end or solution of a discourse or debate. The volume is a religious text which follows the Sariyat in describing 40 makala or religious propositions. The intricate religious discourse is presented in a simple way for the benefit of ordinary people. At the end of the text, the author, Chadik Ali, introduces himself and names the text as Daful Hujat. Ibadat Magaz. Ibadat is a Persian word meaning service, devotion, or worship. Magaz is an Arabic word representing brain. The text is thus an intellectual discourse on Sufi philosophy. It is believed that the author was born in Ashada, the 3rd month of the Bengali calendar, 120 Bengali era, approximately 1820 CE. Talib Huchan. This volume contains a text on Sufi theology, written by Ghulam Huchan in 1549. The acquired manuscript was copied by an anonymous person much later. It is one of the earliest texts written in Sylheti Nagri script and shows how Sufi literature was introduced into the Silchar region. Bedsar, first edition. Bedsar is a book of religious songs which reflect on Sufi philosophy. It may have been written by Hazrat Shah Hussain Alam based on the thoughts of Sayyid Shah Hussain Alam. The text was at some point revised and published by Sriukta Jaji Abdul Saheb and printed by Sri Muhammad Abdul Ghani in Sri Hatta Bandar Bajar Islamia Press. The first version of the text as it appears in this volume was probably written in the 17th century. Some believe that Sayyid Shah Hussain Alam was born in the 15th century in Sylhet. Professor Asaddar Ali places his date of birth between somewhere around 1500 and 1650 CE. Babataran Kabir Karti Baul Gan Saha, first edition 1913. The text of this volume emphasizes the transience of human existence. It preaches that a person should concentrate on improving their life after death, and that this can be done by performing religious duties. The text includes a collection of 4 songs which touch on this theme. The name of the writer of the songs is given within each song as Abdul Karim. The author of the volume is Munsi Ahmad Ali Saheb. It was revised and published by Sriukta Munsi Abdul Karim Saheb and printed by Sri Muhammad Abdul Ghani Sri Hatta Islamia Press. The volume is dated 1320 or 1913 CE. Khabar Nisan. The text is a work on religion and spirituality. It is in the form of the songs that deal with religious theories and spiritualism. Profound thoughts are expressed in simple terms and reflect the Sufi philosophy, often expressed through the imagery of Radha Krishna. It describes the concept of the reunion of the lover and the beloved, the union of the disciple with Allah. The author, Bela Shah Fakhir, was a resident of Sylhet. The text has been hand-copied by Payaj Ali and then photocopied. Pandnama. The text in this volume is by Chadik Ali, who was born in 1205. The author mentions his name in text, which is written in the form of a discourse, in verse. He introduces the different elements of Islam as well as stories, bayan, related to the Islamic world. One of these is the story of Harun Raslub. Hushyarnama. The text here is a photocopy of a hand-copied version of the original, which was written by the famous poet Chadik Ali or Munsi Chadik Ali, who converted to Islam from Hinduism. It is a book on religion, warning people against deviating from the religious path. It discusses the Islamic conception of heaven and hell and the sun and the moon, as derived from the Quran. It speaks of the gains to be derived from the complete surrender to Allah. It reflects the knowledge and the religious values that were being disseminated to the converted Muslims of the Sylhet region. Ber Jahor 1918. Ber Jahor is a religious text which deals with esoteric philosophy. It contains discussions on Sufism and various other secret ideas about Vaishnavism, Natha, and Sahajiya cults. Significantly, while introducing these cults, the poet seeks the blessings of Saraswati, the Hindu goddess of learning. The text was completed by the author Pir Mujiruddin on 3rd Jaista 1325 Bengali era. Hajnama 1913. Hajnama highlights the importance of practicing Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, as one of the most important rituals of Islam. The text aims to acquaint the rural masses with the ways of being a true Muslim. By recounting the importance of performing Hajj, the text acts as an advice manual for pilgrims on Hajj to Mecca. The author is given as Sriukta Shah Abdullah Saheb. The volume was published by Sriukta Haji Oyaheb Saheb and printed by the Sri Muhammad Abdul Ghani Sri Hatta Islamia Press. Hasar Michil. Hasar means resurrection and Michil means system or file of records. The text is thus a metaphorical description of the Day of Judgment and Resurrection. Oju Namaj, written by Munsi Abdul Karim. The text provides the rituals associated with 2 of the 5 compulsory duties of a Muslim. Oju meaning ablution before prayers and Namaj being an offering of prayers. It emphasizes the importance of cleanliness and personal hygiene to keep oneself pure. The rules of namaz and other religious observances are detailed. The author ridicules those who do not perform the rituals and who provide futile excuses. It relates to all misfortunes, natural as well as material, to non-performance of rituals. Harmuj Ali's Gan. The title of this text means the Songs of Shah Harmuj Ali. It is a collection of songs. Significantly, one of the songs describes the Khilafat movement. Another verse is on the Sajli Tarika. Yusuf Julaka Muhabbatanama. The text is a romantic narrative poem depicting the adventurous love story of Hazrat Yusuf and Julaka, a woman of peerless beauty. The core story is described in the Quran as Ahsanul Qachach. The version here is an adaptation of the work Muhabbatanama written in Persian by Maulana Jamir. Originally written by Sadiq Ali, it was reproduced by Muhammad Hatim Sahab, perhaps with some revision. The significance of the text lies in the fact that a theme borrowed from Persian tradition was thoroughly remodeled and rearranged in order to accommodate new as well as subtle regional and social, cultural and aesthetic variations. Bayan Qayamatnama. The text is essentially a religious one dealing with the Day of Judgment, or Qayamat. It gives a detailed description of the angels and puts stress on the idea that human beings will be judged for their deeds in this world on the Day of Judgment. The philosophical elements in the text are narrated in a simple manner. Radha Pyari. This text depicts the love of the disciple towards the Lord Murshid Allah. It deals with a deep Sufi philosophy. It is interesting that Radha, an icon of the Vaishnav tradition, has been used in the text. Kalam Darbes, or Sayings of Darwish, written in Sylheti Nagri, is a religious text in which a devoted Muslim desires to know what constitutes a true Muslim. He sings the glory of Allah and inquires about the rituals of Islam, that is, the secret elements of practicing Islam. Presented in a conversational form, the text preaches the ritualistic aspects of Islam in very simple terms in the Sylheti language. This explains the wide reach of this being popular literature in the rural areas of the region Kachar, Sylhet and parts of the eastern Bengal. The text, written in verse, was never printed. In fact, some of these religious texts were forbidden to be rendered in print. Such texts were copied by rural Muslim individuals and are still regarded as sacred. The original text may perhaps be dated to the 19th century. If this dating is correct, the text provides an insight into how the tenets of Islam were popularly presented and disseminated in the parts of northeast India and Sylhet in Bangladesh. A critical reading of the text may thus throw light on the methods by which Islam was popularized in the region. It could also be used to trace strains of regional input into the philosophy of Islam as it evolved there under a strong Sufi influence. A linguistic study of the text could be significant in showing the extended use of Arabic and Persian words in Sylheti. Nur Nasihat. This is a religious text written in pyar verse, a metrical system of Bengali poetry in each which line consists of 14 letters or syllables. It describes a philosophical discourse based on Sufism as adapted to the Sonai Kachar region in Assam. Often the philosopher or poet speaks in secretive or code language which could be deciphered only by fellow believers. Significantly, the author forbids the printing of this text. It is permitted to copy it only by hand. The text does not talk about Shariat-based Islam. In other words, the author clearly intends the book to be read by believers only, and not by either the skeptical or non-believers. The author is unknown. Imam Suril Boyan. The text copied here narrates the story of the abduction of Fatima's children, Hassan and Hussein. In the text, they are referred to as Imam. Imam Churi means abduction of Iman. Din Bhavanandir Gan. The text copied here is an adaptation in the Sylheti Nagri script from the original Haribamsa, possibly written by Bhavananda in the 17th century. It is a love story of Krishna and Radha, the Hindu god and goddess. It was very popular among the Muslims of the region of Silchar, for whose benefit it was written in the Sylheti Nagri script. Harmuj Nasihat. Written by Sufi Saint Harmuj Ali, the text deals with spiritual matters concerning Islam. It is a collection of poems and songs, and both are in the nature of religious discourse based on Sufism. Ambar Ali's Gan. The songs of Ambar Ali are love songs based on devotion. This volume is a collection of songs describing the love story of Radha Krishna. It reflects the influence of Vaishnavism and the assimilative character of the text, which is reflected in terms like Niranjan and Radha Krishna. Ahkame Karka. Ahkame Karka, i.e. rules of spinning, refers to the contemporary political movement under M.K. Gandhi, which propagated the task of spinning as essential for all and concludes that for a Muslim, spinning is a virtue for a woman but a taboo for men. Several religious authorities are called to support this stand. Ahkame Roza. Ahkame Roza means religious instructions on the ritual of Roza. The text refers to page 173 of Persian text Miskat Sarif, which recounts the good that one derives from performing Roza, i.e. a month-long fast from the day the moon is sighted in the 8th month Shaban of Hijri calendar. The format of the text is significant. Unlike the usual text in Sylheti Nagri script, this text begins with 3 lines written in Arabic script. Moreover, usually the texts in the Sylheti Nagri script are written fully in verse, but a portion of this text is in prose, written in question-answer form. The first 2 pages teach the Sylheti Nagri script itself. This shows that the script was used to popularize the tradition of Siyat with its ritualistic practices. The Islamic identity has been emphasized by mentioning in the title page the date in Islamic calendar of Hijri. Ahkamun Islam. Ahkamun Islam, or religious injunction of Islam, is a religious text which describes the facets of Quran. It details the rules of Shariat and preaches that to be a Muslim one has to follow the injunctions of Shariat without fail. Akbe Islamia Puthi. The text consists of 2 parts, pages 1 to 32 and 1 to 11. The first part of the text is partly religio-ethical and partly informative. It provides information concerning the donation of property for religious, pious, or charitable purposes. It recounts the legal steps to be taken and explains in simple terms the way in which deeds or documents of such donations in land should be drafted. Essentially advises on the do's and don'ts regarding the documentation of such transfer of property. The second part, marked in the text as pages 1 to 11, contains a list of names of persons who donated the land to the Masjid ad-Dalai, which was established on 1314. The land was donated in 1322. This part of the text provides legal details of the land donated as well as its valuation. Baromash. Generally, this form gives a month-wise description of human happiness and sorrows caused by nature. This text is a revised version, revised by Shadid Mian. It provides a month-to-month description of the nature. It also introduces in some detail the social moral ethics in the day-to-day life of a Muslim, such as the duties of the children towards the parents. The text reflects the composite culture of the region. The Sufi ideas are blended in with the local Hindu Vaishnav icons such as Nimai, Krishna, and Radha. Significantly, some innovations are introduced. The text begins with Argan Mas, the month of the Argayan, which is the 8th month of the Bengali calendar, instead of Boishak, the 1st month. Chohe Chandramukhir Puthi, a love story of Chandramukhi, daughter of the king of Gandharva, and Gulsunahar, son of the king of Misar, which has been identified as Egypt. The story is an adaptation from Persian and reflects the literary innovations made in the structure and form of narration. The following few slides don't have much information, and I'm still awaiting for more research information. This one is Kakar Fajilat, dated in 1328. The author is Maulavi Muhammad Sikandar Ali Saheb. Kitab Chohi Chori Mochla, dated in 1314, and the author is Munsi Abdul Karim. Sat Kanyar Bakhan, dated in 1332, the author is Saha Noor. Chwahi Achitun Nabi, dated in 1327. The publisher is Sri Muhammad Abdul Ghani and the author is Shurokta Munsi Jafar Ali Saheb. The text introduces the Islamic ritual and practices of everyday life in simple terms and narrates the significance of the different lunar months. Kitab Ganje Eske Elahi, dated in 1323, the author is Sriokta Munsi Abdul Ajid Saheb. Text is described by the author as a treasure book on love for divinity. Harin Nama, dated in 1336, the author is unknown. Julmat Nama Kabita, dated in 1331, author is Munsi Moshahed Ali. The poem and songs recount the disaster caused by the flood of 1336 in the town of Silchar in Kachar. Includes a ghazal written in Bengali. Rag Oyajit Nasihat, dated in 1331. The author is Ryukta Maulavi Sharuk Mia Chaudhry Saheb. It's about a collection of 87 songs. Khitab Radeh Kufur, dated in 1314. Author is Maulavi Chadik Ali Saheb. Karin Nama, dated in 1334. The author of this book is unknown. Shohi Mufidul Ayyum, dated in 1332. The author is Sri Muhammad Abdul Aziz. Mufidul Muminun, Volume 1, dated in 1317. The author is Sriyukta Munsi Irfan Ali. Silet Nagri's Pahela Kitab or Doi Kurar Rag, dated in 1336. The author is unknown, but it was revised by Muhammad Latif. The publisher is Sri Muhammad Abdul Ghani. Futi Apainama, 1320. The author is Sriyukta Munsi Sajid Mia. It talks about the details of a flood which affected the region in 1320. Chahi Sahar Karit, date of text 1285, date of publication 1324. The author is Asad, given with the main body of the text. Icharul Haq, dated 1334. Author is Fakir Haji and Sri Achan Sahib. Shahide Karbala. This popular text narrates the exploits of Hamifa, particularly at the Battle of Karbala. Khabar Nisan. The text is a work on religion and spirituality, dealing with religious theories and spiritualism in the form of songs. Profound thoughts are expressed in simple terms and reflect Sufi philosophy, often through the imagery of Radha and Krishna. The songs describe the concept of the reunion of the lover and the beloved, the union of the disciple with Allah. The author Bela Shah was a resident of Sylhet. And finally, we have Futi Dafiul Hujat. The title of this volume means the end or solution of a discourse or debate. The volume is a religious text which follows the Shariat in describing 40 makala or religious propositions. The intricate religious discourse is presented in a simple way for the benefit of the ordinary people. At the end of the text, the author Chadik Ali introduces himself and names the text as Dafiul Hujat. So there you have it, guys, the end of the presentation. I hope you have enjoyed finding out about Sylheti history and also Sylheti literacy. You can see how rich and diverse Sylheti Nagri script was used in different formats, things like poems, songs, religions, and so forth.